Can we breathe the pure mountain air and not be refreshed? Can we walk abroad amid the beautiful and the grand of the works of creation and feel no kindling devotion? This is a quote from Charles Carroll of Carrollton. It remains to us to cherish their memory and emulate their virtue. As long as we preserve our country, their fame cannot die, for it is reflected from the surface of everything that is beautiful and valuable in our land. We cannot repeat too often, nor dwell too long upon the lives and the characters of such men as this, for our own take something of their form. If we raise our thoughts to their elevation, our minds will be expanded and ennobled. That is a quote from Reverend Charles Augustus Goodrich. Reverend Charles Augustus Goodrich and I were incited to this undertaking by a belief that we might render an important service to our countrymen, especially to the rising generation, by giving them some type of an account of the distinguished band of patriots who composed the Congress of 1776. While working with the biographical notices of the signers to the Declaration, we have been amazed at the longevity of their life. They were 56 in number, and the average length of their lives was about 65 years. 4 of them attained to the age of 90 years old and upwards. 14 of them exceeded 80 years old, and 23 of them reached into their 70s. This is very unusual for the age of the signers that they attained, but this was a reward for their faithfulness to their country and their trust, which they held for the providence of God. Who can doubt the kindness that Providence gave to the American people in thus prolonging the lives of these great men? The Declaration of Independence affirmed the Founding Fathers' belief and trust in these words, quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness," unquote. At the conclusion of the Declaration of Independence, they wrote, "And for the support of this declaration with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." But what did they mean by that statement? What they meant is exactly what they said. They were putting their lives and their fortunes on the line for liberty. Francis Lewis of New York gave his fortune. His fine home on Long Island was burned, and his wife was taken prisoner and so badly mistreated, she died soon after her release. Richard Stockton of New Jersey was captured, brutally beaten, and was permanently handicapped until his death some 2 years after his release. Robert Morris of Pennsylvania, who was called the financier of the Revolution and had raised many times his personal fortune, was captured, jailed, and died a poor man. Abraham Clarke of New Jersey had 2 soldier sons who were captured by the British and spent several years on one of the dreaded prison ships on which thousands had died. Thomas Nelson Jr. of Virginia became a brigadier general and fired cannons into his own home in Yorktown because Cornwallis had taken over his home. The following men had their homes destroyed or ransacked by the British: Josiah Bartlett of New Hampshire, William Floyd of New York, John Hart of New Jersey, Francis Hopkinson of New Jersey, Benjamin Harrison of Virginia, William Hooper of North Carolina, Lyman Hall of Georgia. Several of our signers, including George Walton, Thomas Hayward Jr., and Arthur Middleton, were captured as prisoners of war and treated very badly. Virtually all of them lost much, if not all of their personal fortunes, and many of them became governors of states and chief justices of states, spending their entire lives in service to their country. For centuries, our forefathers suffered and sacrificed that we might be the recipients of blessings of freedom. If they were so willing to sacrifice so much to establish us as a free people, should we not be willing to do the same to maintain our freedom for ourselves and our future generations? God has now sent other choice spirits to help preserve it, and may God give us the faith and the courage exhibited by these patriots who pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. May we Be equally as valiant and as free. Thank you so much for watching and learning about these amazing men with me. Ezra Taft Benson, former Secretary of State, says it best. Yes, this is a land fertilized by the blood of patriots. During the struggle for independence, nearly 9,000 of the colonists' forces were killed. Among those 56 patriots who had pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor by signing the Declaration of Independence, at least 9 paid that price with their life's blood, unquote. Perhaps as never before in our history, is our nation collectively deserving of the indictment that was pronounced by Abraham Lincoln in these words, quote, "We have been the recipients of the choicest bounties of heaven. We have been preserved these many years in peace and in prosperity. We have grown in numbers, wealth, and power as no other nation has ever grown. But we have forgotten God. We have forgotten the gracious hand which preserved us in peace and multiplied us and enriched us and strengthened us. And we have vainly imagined that all of these blessings were produced by some superior wisdom and virtue of our own. We've become intoxicated with unbroken success. We have become too self-sufficient to feel the necessity of the redeeming and the preserving grace, too proud to pray to the God who made us. It behooves us then to humble ourselves before the offended power, to confess our national sins, and pray for clemency and forgiveness." This was in a proclamation from the President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, March 30th in 1863. As you can see, these men have profound wisdom, understanding, faith, and fortitude. May we have the same strength and the courage to protect our lives, our families, and our sacred honor. May we stand in our place to do our duty with the same strength and fortitude that they did theirs. And may God bless America, the land that I love. That's all I have to say.